What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. It is Tottenham against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup 4th round. A chance to advance into the next round, win a trophy. Come on, it's time.
Well,
surely,
we can't win the trophy tomorrow.
surely it's time, man. Surely it's time. It's been too long. 2008, the last time Spurs brought home a trophy. And if we do beat Man City tomorrow, then that's one massive, massive team out of the way.
Of course, and that's one of the big boys who have a great record in this competition out the way if we can knock them out tomorrow. If you look back to last season, I think Newcastle knocked them out in a similar stage. And also, I think the City actually played a bit of a stronger team last year, but Newcastle did knock them out, and Newcastle were having a bit of a tough time last season. So there's hope, and obviously if we beat Man City, we're not going to fear anyone for the rest of the competition for sure. So big opportunity tomorrow, especially with City resting players, but look, we're off the back of a defeat against Palace. The feeling around the club at the moment is always, one win and everyone's delighted with how we played, and then we have a bad performance. So got to make sure we got that consistency to going into tomorrow. But look, I'm confident, I'm excited what the game's going to be.
Yeah. Got to love a midweek game under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But look, we're going to go into the predicted lineup up first. Ange has been speaking in his press conference, and there's some worrying injury news to talk about. Yeah,
not great news. So Sonny is not going to be probably not going to be available for tomorrow. He said he's nearly fit. He said they're pretty confident that Son will be fit for the weekend, which is positive news. But the bad news is unlikely to be fit for tomorrow, so looks like he's going to be missing. And very bad news on Odegaard. He said he's had a serious setback from his injury. He said similar area to what kept him out for about best part of a month or over a month after the Coventry game, and they're still waiting for more news on his injury, but he said it looks to be serious. So, not expecting to see Odegaard back for a bit, it looks like. So that's a massive shame. In more positive news, Jed Spence is back in training, so it looks like he's available for this game, and everyone else came through unscathed. So, yeah, that's more positive.
Yeah, it's just a shame. Like it seems to happen this way. Like the injuries that we do get, they all seem to be in the same area of the pitch. Last year, similar thing happened where we just seem to get blotches of injuries in the same area of the pitch, and now two left wingers in Odegaard and Sonny out injured. Well, potentially Sonny, but two going into this with problems. Andrew also was talking in his press conference about what kind of Spurs team that we're going to see, and he says he's going to manage it in a similar manner. You're going to see a similar team to how he's been managing most midweek fixtures so far. So we're going to make our stab at what we think.
Exactly, which, maybe some people will be unhappy about it. He's just making the argument he needs to have a team physically ready to take on Man City. That's what he's saying. And he said he's going to manage it in, as you say, similar way to how he's played in Europe and the other Carabao Cup. So I think it's fair to say expect some changes.
Yeah, which is not good news for me. I really wanted to see Spurs go really full strength and go really at this game, particularly if you are going to see a weakened Man City team, really impose yourself. But let's see what we have gone for the predicted lineup. In goal, we have gone for Vicario. He's played Forster in 2 midweek games and played Vicario in 2 midweek games so far, but we think in this game it's a massive game Vicario's got to play.
Yeah, and especially with the fact that if it's a draw, it goes directly to penalties, so not an unrealistic chance it does go to penalties, and we know how Forster was with pens. I guess Forster did have a decent game against RZ, so you've got to give him credit, and I know that he played him in the last Carabao Cup game, so there's a chance that he is our cup keeper and he will play, but we're just going to err on the side that it's a big game and Vicario doesn't really need to be rested, so we're going to put Vicario in goal for this one.
In terms of right back, I think Pedro Porro most likely will be given a rest in this one, so we think Archie Gray is going to come out into right back.
Yeah, we're trying to balance this out from who played in Europe last week, who played on the weekend, and try and adjust who we think could start. So obviously Gray did play in Europe, but had a big rest on the weekend. Porro played 90 minutes, so we do think Gray's going to come in. To be fair, Gray has done pretty well, in my opinion, when he's been called upon. Obviously, without Doku playing, no Grealish. Could be Matthias Nunes potentially on the left wing, but he's not much of a left winger. So I think Gray at right back could be okay. So we're going to go with Gray.
Right, centre back, we are going to stick with Kuti Romero. Van der Ven obviously played he didn't play last weekend. Who was the centre backs? It was Davis and Dragoshin in Europe last week.
Oh, good point. It was Davis and Dragoshin. So maybe we'll play Van de Ven.
But for argument's sake, we've gone for Romero.
We've gone for Romero.
We always think because Van de Ven was in the press conference, we thought
we completely forgot. Yeah, he didn't play. But yeah, Romero, I think we're going to stick with him. He obviously got a rest on Thursday. He did play, obviously, 90 minutes against Palace, but I don't think he's going to go Dragoshin and Davis again. I think he's going to want at least one of the senior centre-backs, and obviously Romero is the vice-captain, so we're going to put Romero in there.
Now, remembering that Van de Ven didn't play, I actually do think Van de Ven will come in at left centre-back now, but we have gone for Dragoshin for argument's sake, but let's change it to Van de Ven if we can, because I think it will be Van de Ven at left centre-back.
But I think actually, I think it will be Dragoshin. I still think
you think it'll be Dragoshin?
I do still, because I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play the midweek games. He's going to want minutes. I actually thought his best game, one of his better games this year, was when he was with Romero against Newcastle. Yeah. And obviously, no Haaland would be a big benefit in this game if he doesn't play. I'm not sure if he looks like he's not going to play, but I think Dragoshin should be able to handle that, and we know he needs minutes in his legs. And obviously, I don't know do we want to play Romero and Van de Ven all 3 games this week?
Yes. We do.
I mean, we do, but will we? I don't know. I feel like he's going to keep Van de Ven on ice for the weekend. So I do think. Look, I think Dragoshin is going to be rotated in here.
I think both of them will be rested in the game against Galatasaray next week, so they'll get a full week's rest next week. I mean, look, we're acting like they're professional footballers. They can't play 3 games in a week. We've seen plenty of players play 3 games in a week and do it successfully.
I know, but Van de Ven, the way he plays, is just when you can give him a rest, I think you should. And I think I know it's City. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but can Dragoshin come in and do a job, especially without Haaland? I've got a feeling he might be able to. All
right, well, we're going to go for Dragoshin then. We're going to revert back to Dragoshin, even though I particularly want to see Van de Ven play in this game. But left back, we are going for Jed Spence back from injury. We don't know how long he's actually been training for. So, I mean, Ange said he's back in training, but he didn't say he's ready for selection, did he? Or he did? He
said he's back in training, so I assume that means he's available, but I guess he didn't confirm it. But he was asked about players who are out and injury news, and he said he spoke about Sonny, how he's nearly fit. He spoke about Odegaard being disappointing, but he said, yeah, Jed's back in training. So I assume that implies he's back. And obviously, if Spence doesn't play in this game, it's going to be very little opportunities to play. As well, Doggy did start in midweek against RZ. He did start on the weekend, 90 minutes. So I think it's a good opportunity to give him a rest. So I think Spence will come in.
Yeah.
I guess there's a chance maybe Gray goes the left back and we keep Pyro in, but I think I do think the Doggy gets a rest either way.
It just depends on the fitness of Spence. We know he's training. We just don't know how far along in his fitness he is. That's the reality. But we are going
I guess Davis could always play there, but we're going to go with Spence.
Yeah. In the number 6, we're going to go for Rodrigo Bentancur. Obviously, Basuma played in the last game. Bentancur played in Europe, so we think Bentancur will be back in for the midweek.
Yeah, and I don't think we have any problems putting him back in. I still generally think he's been pretty good this season, so I think he comes back in the 6 in what's going to be an interesting midfield battle.
Moving into the attacking positions in midfield, we are going to side with Decky in the number 8 / number 10 in this game.
Obviously, played, I think, 20 minutes against RZ, then played 60 minutes against Palace. So I think when it comes to physically, he should be available to start this game from the start. He's going to be a very important player for us as well. I know he didn't have the best game on the weekend, but hopefully he can put that right on this occasion. So we're going to put Decky in from the start.
Yeah, and he loves the game against City as well, doesn't he,
Decky? He does, especially the Etihad usually.
The Etihad, please. Call it by its real name. And alongside them in midfield will be Pape Matar Sarr, who I think is just getting better and better throughout the season. I think we seem to say this every week with Pape, but I think he was one of the better players as well, even in a poor performance at the Selhurst Park. I thought he came on and did a really good job.
Yeah, and with the way City play, doesn't matter who they have, they're going to have a lot of good technical players, a lot of players with the ability to run and get forward. So I think we're going to need Sarr's legs in this one. Maddison as well, it's a good opportunity to give him a rest because he did start against RZ 70 minutes. Obviously only played an hour on the weekend.
And 45 at West Ham.
And 45, but that was the week before. I think, the last 2 games has just a couple of starts, so I think it's a good opportunity just to put him on the bench and then maybe bring him on if we need him.
All right, so that's the middle 3 of Bentancur, Decky and Pape. In the right-hand side of the attack, limited in options there, so it's got to be Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, it has to start. Did he start against RZ? No. Mikey Moore started on the right, and then he played 45. So he played 45 against RZ, 90 against Palace. But as you say, with Odegaard out, Son out, we're going to have to rely on him. So we're going to put Johnson on the right.
Moving into the number 9 position, Richarlison for me doesn't look completely fit as of yet, although he does need minutes. So I expect him to play some part in this game. So we are going to side with Dominic Solanke to start.
Yeah, he did get a decent rest on last week against RZ. Obviously, did. It was a very taxing game for him against Palace because he felt like he was the only one doing anything. But with Richarlison not looking up to speed, I know he needs minutes, but so with this being a big game, I think Solanke needs to start. So we're going to put him in from the start.
Yeah, but I have no doubt that he'll come in and start that game against Galatasaray next week. Richarlison.
Yeah, for sure.
And then to make up the final 11, it's going to be Turbo Timo. It's Timo time on the left-hand side. Son, a major doubt. Odebear out injured. And Mikey Moore, I really highly doubt he's going to play 3 games in the space of a week. So it's got to be Timo.
Yeah, look, and it's a chance for him to do better than he has done because we know how he struggled over the last few games. To be fair to him, I actually thought against Palace he did all right when he came on. Unfortunately, some of his deliveries, no one was on the end of him, but I actually thought some of his deliveries were quite good. So I'm not saying that got his confidence back, but I think hopefully he takes something out of that cameo and can bring it into this game.
We've heard about rumours. I mean, I know they're just rumours for now, from reports in Germany saying that Spurs are willing to let Timo go in January if a permanent offer comes in for him. With Odebear struggling for fitness, do you reckon they'll rethink that, if that was true?
Probably. Unless what they're thinking is if maybe with Odebear being fit, they're thinking just get rid of Timo and can rely on Moore and Odebear. But if Odebear has got a serious injury, depending on how long he's out for, we might need to think about bringing someone in. Or, they might have to rethink it, because if we bring someone in, are you actually going to sign someone permanently when you've got Mikey Moore coming through and you've got Odebear there? Are you going to be looking for another loan deal anyway? And if
you do have HeungMin coming in.
And HeungMin as well. I think if Odebear's injury is serious, obviously it depends on Werner. If Werner continues the way he's been, which is not an unlikely prospect considering how his last few years have been, then I still probably think they just might as well rely on HeungMin and just send him back. But if he shows some sort of improvement, obviously I think they have to rethink it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's run through that predicted lineup with you guys one more time. It's Vicario in goal, Archie Gray at right back, Jed Spence at left back, Romero and Dragoshin as the centre-back pairing, Rodrigo Bentancur, Pape Matasar and Dejan Kulusevski in the middle 3, with Brennan Johnson on the right, Timo Werner on the left and Big Dom Solanke up top. And if we envisage the changes that Man City are going to make in this game, surely that team should be physically dominant over maybe a Man City team with a lot of changes.
Yeah, obviously it really depends how weak Man City are, but if Man City are going to play a lot of the younger players, we have to rely on the fact that we've got some very physical midfielders there. If we can win that midfield battle, make sure we have control of the game, hopefully we can go some way to overwhelming a young Man City side a bit. But they still might, in the back line, they're still going to have potentially Ake, still going to potentially have John Stones, some very experienced, tough players. So not saying it's going to be easy or it's, we're destined to win, but hopefully we can get a little advantage there in terms of physicality.
All right, well, that is our predicted lineup going into the game tomorrow night. Massive, massive game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But let's move in to the match preview, and it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? We played Man City last year in the FA Cup third round, very tight game. Obviously got done on a set piece towards the end of the game. I think Nathan Ake was it that got on the score sheet that day in a 1-0 win for Man City. But if you're looking at what Pep Guardiola's been saying, if you're looking at the players that Man City have available, they are kind of limited on options, aren't they? If they want to make a lot of changes. If we bring up the graphic with the Man City injuries, if we just look at this for a second, because you've got Rodri out, obviously, Ballon d'Or winner, Bob, Doku, Grealish, Kyle Walker, and Kevin De Bruyne. So if you look at that predicted lineup that we've done, there are a few academy talents in there, and McAtee, O'Reilly, Braithwaite. But apart from that, it's a very strong team.
Look, they got a lot of good players. I'm not saying exactly the same, but Arsenal, I remember when they came to us, everyone's like, oh, Odegaard's injured, Rice injured. I was looking at their team like they've still got Partey, they've still got some really experienced players coming in. So, yes, O'Reilly, McAtee, Braithwaite, they're not like the most experienced players, and these are players obviously on paper we don't know too much about them, and hopefully we can get the better of them. But first of all, we've seen how amazing Man City Academy products can be. Just look at Palmer, look at Liam Delap, look how amazing they're doing in the Premier League. So nothing could be taken for granted. McAtee had a great loan spell, I thought, at Sheffield United last year. I thought he was probably one of their better players, and he's a real tricky player. I don't know much about O'Reilly and Branthwaite really, but look, I think we just got to treat it as if Man City are coming at full strength, because we know that even if they make changes, Man City still have that identity. Pepper's just been there for so long. Even if they got no striker, we've seen them win leagues with no strikers before. So it's still going to be a really, really tough game. But the fact they got injuries, the fact that they do have to make all these changes, what you got to maybe hope is it can lead to a bit more of a disjointed performance than it would have been if they were full strength and had all these players fit. And hopefully some of these academy products, this is maybe their first or second game or from the start of this season. So maybe they still have to get up to speed, and maybe it could be a good time just to catch them cold.
They often say, don't they, that the battle is won and lost in midfield, right? That's one of the, footballing cliches. If they do play that midfield of Gundogan, O'Reilly, McAtee, and we go for, our predicted lineup in, what was it?
Decky.
Bentancur, Decky and Sarr, surely we should have the physical edge in there.
You'd hope so. McAtee's a really good technical player. He's really good in those little small spaces. So, you got to definitely watch out for him. But definitely, if we're going to go full throttle, like we know Ange loves to do, high press. Make sure we can dominate them from an aggression standpoint. You'd like to think our midfield three will have the beating of them from a physicality point of view. Obviously, Gundogan is still a very physical midfielder. We know how much quality he has, and he's got so much experience as well. So he can maybe manage these young guys through the game. But, Bentancur, Sarr, Decky as well, those three of them are three of our most physical midfielders. Even though you could argue, maybe Basuma could be in there, but Maddison. But in terms of physicality, those three are probably at the top of the list. So hopefully they're looking at that three and think, I can really get at those, and confident that we can actually get the better of them and not just compete with them.
Such a massive game as well, because even though it's still so early on in the Cup, there's not many rounds to Wembley, is there, in the Carabao Cup? And all of a sudden, if you win this, you're down to the last 8. We're already in the last 16 in this round. So you're down to the last 8 in the next round. You look at the fixtures. If you bring up the phone, if you look at the fixtures in this round, you've got Brighton playing Liverpool, so one of them got to go. Newcastle playing Chelsea, so one of them got to go. Villa playing Palace, one of them got to go. And another all-Premier League tie in Manchester United against Leicester. So if we can get through, there's still going to be big teams in the last 8, obviously. But, a lot of big teams will be out.
Potentially. You could argue a lot of the teams that you named in those ties, they're still favourites. They could all be going through, and then you ended up with Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal all still going through. But obviously, if we could knock out City, that's one of the big boys out, and they're the ones who have dominated this competition for a while. They didn't win it though last year, did they?
No, they went out to Newcastle.
They went out to Newcastle.
Liverpool won it with the kids, didn't they?
That was it in the final against Chelsea. So obviously last year they didn't win it, but in previous years they've been very, very dominant. And that's with them heavily rotating. So it's important to remember that. And also in cup competitions, I can't remember the last time we've had a really big win in a cup competition. Obviously, we beat Chelsea under Jose on penalties.
That was the last one.
That's like a rarity. We usually, whenever we face a decent Premier League side in a cup competition, we're usually the ones.
We've been going out to championship sides and all sorts over the last few years.
Yeah, so nothing can be taken for granted. Doesn't matter what City side are coming out or are being played here. We have a very bad record in cup competitions against Premier League teams, so we've really got to get over that mental block. But if we can beat City, how much confidence that will give us, even though it could be a City second string team, I don't think it matters. I think if it's still Man City you're beating, and if we can get through that tie, hopefully that can give us a bit of a fear factor going into the rest of the competition.
With Ange saying that he's going to make changes, and not saying that specifically, but saying he's going to manage it and pick a similar team that what we've been seeing in midweek. If we do go out and lose and Man City play a lot of academy players, you just know the knives are going to be out for him massively. I really believe that he should be going as full strength as possible this week.
Yeah. Look, the reality is we have a squad. We know that we play a very, very physical style of football. We exert a lot of energy. Obviously, we didn't do very well on the weekend, and we have to put that right. But he's also got to give players opportunities. He's also got to use his squad at best he sees fit. I don't think I think hopefully he won't completely change the 11. I think that'd be the wrong thing to do. And I think, when we've done that in previous games has led to a bit too much change and too much disjointed performances, albeit we have been getting wins, but obviously not against teams of the quality of Man City, I think it's fair to say. So I think he needs to have a core of experienced players in there and players who are in the first team. And I think with the lineup we predicted, the likes of Romero in there, Vicario, Bentancur, Deki, Solanke, I think there's quite a good core there of players who are there, first team players who are important players for us. But we've got a very big game against Villa as well. I'm sure he's conscious of that. He wants to be physically ready for that as well. Obviously, if you probably ask Tottenham fans what's a bigger game, this one or Villa, they'd probably say this one. So I think for a lot of Tottenham fans, they'll probably, if you said, would you take a loss against Villa to go through in this game, they'll probably say, yeah.
I would take that.
Yeah.
I would take that.
Would
you?
Ange, though?
He should.
I probably would, because it's another chance for a trophy. But if you ask Ange, would you take a loss against Villa to go through in the Cup?
I mean, Ange's response to that would be like, I wouldn't take a loss in any game.
Probably. But what I'm saying, but my point is he going to prioritise? It's not about prioritising. Is he just doesn't? He wants to manage the squad as best he can, and he doesn't want to leave the team out of energy for the Villa game. But he obviously wants to put out a team that's going to win this game. So he's going to make a few changes, but hopefully he keeps a core of really strong players there as well.
I mean,
like if we see complete wholesale changes, that wouldn't be good for me, I think.
Yeah, like if we go into it and we see 9 changes like we've seen in Europe and stuff, that wouldn't be good enough. And the narratives will start coming out like when we lost to Fulham early stages of last season. Andrew was getting pelters after that game, wasn't he? Going out in the second round of the Cup, making 9 changes, going out on penalties on the day. I mean, if he does something similar, there's already some negativity starting to come his way. Like he will get it for sure.
Of course, and it's another chance of a trophy gone, and that's always going to make the Spurs fans unhappy because, as you say, it's so long since we won a trophy. That's always the target every season now, just break that trophy drought, break that duck, and whenever another opportunity for a trophy disappears, the frustration grows and builds. And if Ange is seen to potentially could have done more to get through this tie, and he hasn't, he's obviously going to bear a lot of the brunt of that frustration because that'll be a reason why we've gone out. So as much as I don't think the season hinges on this game, if we do lose this one and we haven't played a full-strength team, and then we end up, obviously we're not going to win the league, but if we end up, not winning either of the other cups, people are going to ask big questions.
For me, I don't see a reason why we have to make wholesale changes or even as many changes as we did in the predicted lineup. I don't see a reason why we have to do that. I know Andrew's saying he wants to, rotate the squad and all that kind of stuff, but you look at it, there's no reason why players can't play 3 games in a week. They do it when they come back from international break. You've got Romero playing 2 games, not this one, but, in pretty much every other international break, playing 2 games across the other side of the world and coming back on a Thursday and then in the team on a Saturday or a Sunday. Like, we've seen it all the time. We've seen it in under previous management where we've played similar teams on 3 games in a week. We've rotated the squad really well so far this season from midweek to weekend. So there's no reason on a one-off game against Man City why we can't play 3 days in the space of a week, especially as you've got Galatasaray coming up next week where it's going to be heavily rotated in that game. So I would argue that there's no need for rotation in this game.
I understand what you're saying, and maybe you're right. Maybe we can just go hell for leather, full strength, and do the same again against Villa. But we have seen so far when players play too much, especially in our system, they do seem to pick up 2 injuries. There's a reason why we do have a squad. So I'd love to see us go full strength and just get through this tie, and then maybe even make changes on Sunday. But Having played the game on last Sunday against Palace, I feel like he will make changes. Does he have to make changes? I mean, look, I'm not on the training ground. I don't know. I'm not one looking at the sports science. You should think, as a fan, why can't they play that amount of games? Because they're professionals, they're athletes. They should be able to handle it. But we also are the most intense team in the league. That is also true. The stats show it as well. We do the most running, most sprints. We're the highest pressing team in the league, and that comes with its drawbacks. So maybe that means the way we play takes more out of us than it does certain other teams. So maybe that's a reason why we have to manage a squad a bit more rather than just always play. But even I guess one-off occasion. Maybe if we weren't playing City, maybe you could say we do rest, but because we're playing City, you have to make an exception and we just go full strength. But maybe Andrew would argue if we go full strength like we did on Sunday, maybe we won't have the same intensity. Maybe that would be his argument. Yeah,
look, I think there's good arguments either way. I just feel like in a one-off game, in a really big game for Spurs, that can see us go into the quarterfinals of a cup competition, I'd just like to see us go as strong as possible. And maybe instead of the 6 changes that we predicted in the predicted lineup, maybe only 3 or 4 changes. Even that would be better for me. And then make wholesale changes against Galatasaray in midweek. But
you say changes like is Basuma Bentancur like a change which is weakening the team? You know what I mean?
No, that's one of the changes that I would want to see. I'm saying make 3 or 4 changes. Don't make 6.
The front 3 has to be the front 3.
Yeah.
Bentancur for Basuma. That's just a change that doesn't decrease the team. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think we both agree Sarr probably has to come in regardless.
I'm happy. I'm happy with the predicted lineup that we picked. Midfield and attack. It's the defence that I have a bit of an issue with. I would start Van de Ven and Romero as the back 2, and I would probably start.
Just stick with the fullbacks.
And I'd probably start with one of Porro and a doggy. Probably Porro.
Porro and doggy.
Porro and Spence would be fine for me. I think Gray coming up against who would he come up against in our predicted lineup?
Maybe.
Nunes or maybe Savinho, probably Nunes if he starts right back. I mean, Nunes has been pretty good the last couple of games for City.
Yeah, but he played against Hampton. I know he's all right. In the Champions League, he got 2 goals and an assist, I think, and obviously he got an assist against Hampton. But I don't know. I think he's kind of being shoved out there because they don't have many options. I actually don't think he's a great winger, and I think Gray, I think he'll be pretty confident he can handle Matthias Nunes in that position. But there's Gray on the ball. I think he's great. He obviously doesn't have the passing ability that Porro does. He doesn't have that ability in the final third to make a difference. Obviously, he's very composed on the ball. I don't think he'll be fazed by it, judging from what we've seen. He's a very confident and composed player. So maybe that's one change. So essentially, from our predicted lineup, it's only one change you're not happy with.
2. Dragoshin, I'll play Van de Ven.
Dragoshin.
And one of the fullbacks. But now having thought about it as well, if Savinho does, Savinho's a brilliant player, particularly in his one-on-one dribbling. And I worry if he is going to come up against, a Spence not completely fully fit or just coming back from an injury and not having been on the training ground too much. That's also a worry.
Agreed, but, we've had conversations about overplaying Udogie. He's had 2 90-minute appearances against RZ and against Palace, and we've seen when he's played too much how it can affect him sometimes. We need to keep him fresh. We do ask a lot of our fullbacks as well. It's one of the most physically demanding positions in our team. I guess maybe you could say just play him a third one and maybe rest him on Sunday, but then you're resting him for the Villa game, and that's also with the risk of he might not even be at his most intense on Wednesday. Do we go with Davis? Is that what you'd prefer? Probably not. Do we pick Gray at left back? So it's limited.
Unless you start a doggy and take him off on the hour mark or something like that.
Could do that, potentially.
I think that's what I probably would go. I mean, in an ideal world, I would want to see a doggy and Porro play. So that would probably be 3 changes out of the back 4. But that's what I was saying. We made 6 changes. I would like to see 3 or 4.
Okay. Potentially. But yeah, I get that. But we also talk about when's Dragoshin ever going to get minutes and when he deserves more time. This is the time this is the opportunity for him to shine, and a good opportunity as well against Man City. What a better time for him to show what he can do.
Yeah, look, he does need minutes, and he's getting minutes in the Europa League quite consistently so far. He'll play 90 minutes out in Galatasaray next week. He'll play against Rome. He'll play against Elfsborg. He'll play in all these games. And then if we do get an injury in the back line, he's next in line to get those minutes as well. So this is just a one-off game I'm talking about against Man City, against champions 4 years in a row in the Premier League. An amazing outfit, an amazing team under the best manager potentially that's ever been. I would just like to see us go hell for leather in this game and to really make sure that we go and give it the best shot that we can.
But they are going to be resting players.
They are going to be resting players, but we know even Man City resting players, they're still a top team.
Still, they're a good team, but we saw last season they, went out to Newcastle while they heavily rotated.
Yeah, I can't remember the team that they played in that game.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy or anything. I'm not saying that means it's a game where we will definitely win or anything like that. But is it a game where we could make a few changes and still get the win? Maybe Ange feels that way. Yeah.
And look, if Ange is going to make that decision, he's obviously going to live and die by those decisions that he makes. And hopefully he makes the correct call that see us through into the next round. So if he does make those changes and we get through into the next round, then brilliant. Then we've rotated the squad nicely and we're through into the next round. However, if he does make those changes and we go out, there's always going to be that question of what if.
True. Could go the other way. If we play a full strength team, we don't have that same intensity. Maybe you could say, well, if you just made a few changes.
Yeah. So there's many different questions and narratives that you can play.
We just want to go through. We just need to go through.
Exactly.
Is the main thing. But
it's a massive game for me tomorrow night. It's an absolutely massive game, especially on the back of that Palace game and the disaster class that we put in. We stunk out Selhurst Park last week on the weekend, and we need to respond in a big manner this weekend.
Yeah, and
tomorrow.
We can do it. We can do it. Why can't we do it?
If we're looking at the head-to-head between Tottenham and Man City, by the way, brought to you by SofaScore, there is the QR code on screen and link in description if you want to download the app. Unbelievable app, by the way. Since Ange has come in, we haven't beaten Man City. 1 draw and 2 losses, once in the Cup and once in the Premier League, but the one in the Premier League we'll probably... we call it a Spurs win that night. That was a Spurs win. But before Ange, we had quite a good record against Man City, particularly at home. I think we won five straight years, was it?
At home, something like that, yeah.
1-0, and they didn't score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium up until, was it last year? So, I mean, the omens are good in that sense. We do seem to have a good record. However, we have a good record when playing a very different style of football.
Yeah, but you look at the games last season. I know the one that Etihad, City missed a lot of chances, but we did play quite well in the end. Second half, we turned it around. We got a 3-3 draw, and we were very proud of that performance. The game at the Tottenham Stadium last season wasn't a great game. If I remember, it was a Friday night. It was just they made changes, and it was a very stop-start game, and they got a late goal from a corner, and unfortunately that it cost us on the day. But it wasn't exactly like they battered us or anything. It was a very close game. They won it with a set piece. And then the game of the Tottenham Stadium, if you remember, it was one of our better performances, especially late in the season. And despite the fact we lost 2-0, that easily could have gone another way. I mean, all we have to do is think about the chance that Son had, which he obviously missed, through 1-on-1. I thought 1-0 when it was 1-0 at the time. So
he took one for the team.
He did take one for the team, but it was a good performance. It's not like they massively got the better of us. They ended up winning, but that was a very close game, and we showed what we can do. So I think the games that we've had against them, albeit we haven't won, I don't look at those games thinking, we're on a different playing field to them. I think we went toe to toe with them in a few of those games.
Yeah, I mean, particularly the one that Etihad where we drew 3-3. I mean, we could have got completely pounded in that first half, but we rode through the storm. We got through it. And with a very weakened team, wasn't it? Ben Davis, Emerson Royale, Brian Hill started the game. Yeah. We drew 3-3 at the Etihad. And, if you're Mikel Arteta, you say you can't go to the Etihad and get a result if you don't park the bus. And we went literally all out attack with Emerson and Ben Davis at the back and still got a result.
Exactly. So I think the way we play can get the better of Man City, especially if they've got a depleted team as well. They're playing youngsters, and our game is very heavily based on physicality. Hopefully that's an edge we can have on them tomorrow.
And then you can see the manager head-to-head is 2 to Guardiola, 1 draw and 0 to Ange. Head-to-head between Man City and Spurs now is not looking great, with 11 to Man City, 6 to Tottenham and 3 to draw. I'm not sure what the time frame is on that.
Not looking great, but it's probably better than most other teams.
Yeah, that's true. We have played Man City in the Carabao Cup once in recent times, in 2021 when we lost 1-0. And that again was a very tight game. And Laporte, the final, and Laporte scoring right at the end. And that was Ryan Mason in charge that day.
It was, exactly. So we need revenge for the final.
Yeah. Let's look at the Man City team that played in the last round of the Cup, just for context in terms of why we've picked the predicted lineup that we've said we're going to pick. This was against Watford, but they went Ortega in goal, a back three of Braithwaite, Stones and Kyle Walker, Lewis, O'Reilly as a double pivot with Doku, McAtee, Nunes, Grealish in a 4, and then for Phil Foden up top. I mean, if they don't play Erling Haaland, they literally got no other natural striker to play.
Correct. Albeit, Foden played a whole season for Arsenal and then won the league once. So.
Yeah, true. And McAtee, as much as he's an academy prospect, he's still a very good player, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Jack Grealish and Jeremy Doku are both injured coming into this game, so they're going to have to play a Savinho and probably a Nunes out wide. And then you got Ilkay Gundogan, who obviously is a brilliant football player. So, look, you've got top players that are going to be playing tomorrow night, but maybe that little bit of youth sprinkled in, that academy prospects, hopefully we can physically dominate them.
I mean, look at the score. It was only 2-1 at home to a Championship Watford side. And if I remember rightly, Watford had a goal disallowed, which really shouldn't have been disallowed in that game. I think there was one of those where he blew up for a foul before Watford scored, and it was never a foul. And there was a bit of an injustice there. And obviously Watford had a late rally, they got a goal, and they nearly actually got it to penalties, and it was a very nervy ending for City. So it definitely wasn't Man City's best performance. And as well, to be fair, Man City aren't playing that great anyway, even with their first 11 right now. I'm not saying that means anything in terms of how good a team they are or any likelihood to win the league, because we know Man City at this stage of the season happens every year. They don't usually hit top form until halfway through the season. But
I mean, they're still top of the league.
They are still top of they are still top of the league. I'm saying performance-wise, they're not at their very best. That's with their first team. That game against Watford, they weren't at their very best as well. They, did struggle to get over the line there. So I think from that basis, we can I definitely think we can be confident we can get the win tomorrow.
They got big games coming up, Man City as well. Bournemouth away, Sporting away, Brighton away, and then we go there to the Etihad. So with those big games coming up, surely they do rest quite a few players.
He's already confirmed it that he will. So I expect changes. We know that they've won the Carabao Cup so many times, and I don't think it means anything for Pep winning another Carabao Cup, to be honest. As much as obviously,
and to us it just means everything.
As much as if they do win it, obviously I'm sure it'll be a great day. But we know he's probably not going to be at Man City for too much longer, and I don't think his aim is, to win another Carabao Cup. So I do think, obviously, if he changes it and can get a win, that'll be a really impressive achievement and shows what amazing talented youngsters he has. So I'm sure he's going to try and win. But I think he's going to have the perspective of, I'm just going to play a lot of the fringe and younger players. If we get a win, great. If we don't, why do we need the Carabao Cup anyway? But for us, it's a bigger game.
You confident going into it?
I am confident going into it. I know first of all, our home form's pretty good. I think we've won, apart from the Arsenal game, we've won every home game so far. And we've actually played really
quite
well.
Convincingly in most of them.
Yeah, I think every game, we scored at least 3 goals.
Yeah, Everton 4-0, Brentford 3-1, West Ham 4-1.
Yeah, West Ham. Obviously, Carabao 3. Ours was only 1-0, but, most home games, we've been scoring lots of goals. Want a reaction to what happened on Sunday, which was a really, really poor result and poor performance. And with Man City having a bit of a depleted team, I'm just hoping that means their performance might be a bit disjointed, a bit less intense than it would usually be when they've got their first team out. And I think we can really take the game to them. And the thing is with us, you just know how we're going to play it. We're going to go for it. There's going to be no feeling of, Tottenham going to sit back? Are they going to do this? We're going to go for them, and they're going to have to handle it, and they're going to have to be on their top game to handle it. And as much as we're going to have to be good to make sure that we're pressing intensely and getting close to them and forcing those mistakes, I'm backing us to have that intensity tomorrow. And I know that Tottenham, especially at home, they got only one way of playing. That's going hell for leather and going at the opposition. And he'll drill it into them, Ange. So I think I'm confident we're going to win. I am.
Score prediction?
2-1.
2-1. Tight one.
Obviously, I think Man City will probably bring on some of their better players later on. That'll probably make a bit of a difference. It might change the dynamic. I'm hoping we're 2-0 up by that stage, and then maybe they get a goal back and maybe makes it 2-1. But I do think, I'm going to go for 2-1.
If it does go to penalties, because obviously there's no extra time, do you fancy us on penalties against Man City?
Do I fancy us on penalties against Man City?
That says it all. That says it all.
I don't know. I just get a feeling, they just got that experience, don't they?
I never fancy Spurs on penalties.
And they're just calm in these situations, Man City. So if it does go to penalties, I do worry. Like, I've just seen Tottenham this season, and sometimes when it comes to these moments, we're still a bit inexperienced, don't we? And we kind of shit the bed a bit. So I feel like that would be all right in the game, but once it goes a pressure situation like a penalties, I am a bit worried we might bottle it a bit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic cup tie tomorrow night. I think it's going to be end-to-end football, two open teams going at it. Because Man City, you look at, however they're sitting top of the league, but they do leave themselves quite open, don't they? They've conceded in more or less. I mean, maybe they kept a couple of clean sheets right at the beginning, but they seem to be conceding every game at the moment, don't they? So I think it's going to be two open teams going at it. I think Spurs will have the tiny bit of the edge because I think Man City will just have a few more inexperienced players than Spurs on the day. So I'm going to go for Spurs to nick it under the lights at Tottenham. Hopefully it'll be a good atmosphere. It leaves for fans to get a few beers down their necks just prior to kickoff. And I'm going to go for 3-2 to Spurs, and it'll be a glorious night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Spurs will will sneak through into the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. And hopefully that can kickstart a journey to Wembley. But I'm going 3-2. Sim's going for 2-1. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section below. And that is our preview to the big Carabao Cup last 16 game against Manchester City. And to finish off the stream, we are going to bring on Mr. Brian Daigle.
Oh, Brian Daigle.
Oh, Brian Daigle.
I won't sing you Ben's song because it'll go on too long. How are you both, everyone in the chat?
Yeah, we're all good, my
Brian.
friend.
Good
just
to see you.
Still getting over the Palace result and game and performance and everything to do with that. But football comes around another game comes around very quickly, and a very big game at that as well. So how are you feeling coming into this one? How's your nerves? Have you got nerves? Has it started yet?
No, it hasn't started yet. I'm just praying to the gods big time for a Spurs win more than ever. Main reason being, it's Ilana's birthday the next day, and the last thing she needs is an irate Brian going out of a cup when all I want is a cup.
Hashtag pray for Ilana.
I don't want to do anything. Piss off. We're not doing anything. Yeah, so please, Spurs, don't let me down.
And if Spurs win, it's going to be the most romantic Brian Daigle she's probably ever seen.
It'll be everything. Yeah, I can't cook, but I'll learn to cook. Whatever she wants to get. But listen, I've said to you all, and I've been very outspoken. All I care about this year are the cups. It's all I care. Where we finish in the league, listen, I don't want to finish in the bottom half, whatever, but I'm really not fussed what goes on in the Premier League. It's ending that trophy drought and bringing silverware back to White Hart Lane. That's all I'm concerned about. And this is a massive opportunity to play a weakened Manchester City to advance to the next round. I am concerned. The concern? I'm so conflicted at the moment, guys, because I don't know if I want as strong a squad as we can and get and play and no excuses and payback for Palace. But like Simeon said, I don't want it if we lose. Oh, they played last Sunday and they're tired and whatever. And I don't know right now if I think that second string that played in Europe give more fight, power, and dedication to trying to win a game of football than the first teamers. I really don't at the moment.
Yeah, but you look at it, Brian, at home, we usually put up a really good fight. We made 9 changes against AZ Alkmaar. We got through it 1-0. Obviously, against Carabao, we won 3-0. But then in the Premier League, when we played our first team, 4-0 against Everton, 3-1 against Brentford, 4-1 against West Ham. I mean, we are, apart from the Arsenal game, we've seemed to be blowing away every team that we're playing at home.
Yeah, because they haven't been the big teams, and now a big. Listen, whatever team Man City play, it's a very, very good team they play. But what I would say, a couple of changes I would like to see from your predicted lineup. I actually want to see Archie Gray start in midfield. We bought him and said, right, he's going to be a midfielder. That's his primary position. We've seen him covering at right back when we have a right back ready to cover Porro. So I put Spencer at right back, play a Doji left back, and I put Gray in midfield for someone. I'm not too sure which one, but we keep saying we want to see Archie Gray in midfield. If it's a weakened Manchester City team at home, let's see what the kid can do. Why do we keep putting him out wide out on the right?
It's an opportunity, though, to really physically dominate them in the centre and make. If they are going to play 2 kids, if we just stick like Bentancur and Sarr in there, maybe we can overrun them.
Yeah, Simeon, you've got a really good point. But Archie Gray, who played obviously a massive amount of games for Leeds, yes, a lot of them were right back. He's not a bad player. He's a very he excelled in the Championship. There's no reason to say why he can't succeed in midfield. I get what you're saying. If does that midfield work? Does Sarr I think has to start. But I can't remember who was your midfield 3 you went for. Bentancur, Sarr. Who was the creator one you went for?
Decky.
Yeah, I mean this way I hate these games. all I care about. But listen, like I said, the most important thing is we get a resounding 180 from the performance we saw on Sunday. Yeah. You guys travelled, as did many other thousands. It wasn't acceptable. This game, and let's not forget what's at stake here. There is going further in the cup. Whatever team that that plays, if we go through, brilliant. Next round, one of the biggest fish has got out the draw. If we don't get a win, and one cup goes down, then obviously it's a completely different story. I
mean, Brian, there's a stick to beat Ange with whatever lineup he goes for if we lose, isn't there? Because if we go too weak, he'll say, why didn't we go full strength? If we go full strength, he'll say, why didn't we rest players? I mean, there's a stick to beat him with whatever happens if we lose.
It is, and the way I'm looking at it as well, you guys, I don't know if people in the chat are as well, the game that's scaring me the most is obviously Galatasaray away. I know the result, because we've got 3 wins, is it's not going to have a huge impact. But like I was talking to you on the phone the other day, Ben, our last 2 away games, Brighton and Crystal Palace, and we choked. Nice little welcome to hell. I'm sure they're not going to know what hit them hostility-wise. Does he have one eye on that and getting as high as he can in that? I don't know. I mean, I want to see Tottenham go full out for this. I want to see... Take Gray out of where we said with the midfield guys. Would you? I know there's a discussion with which fullback do you drop for Spence to play, because I'm sure Spence will play one on the other side he'll start on. I think Porro does need a rest, and for God's sake, we signed Spence as a right back, and all the minutes he's getting is at left back. Let's see what this kid can do in his natural position. Surely that's what we need to do.
But Doggy had 90 against RZ. He had 90 on the weekend. Does he not? We've seen when we've overplayed him, the trouble he's been put in. So does he not need a bit of a rest for this one?
So he's a 22-year-old kid. Yes, it's faster flowing football. He can play about. You do have the option. Start with Destiny, and then if it gets like that after 65 or whatever minutes, you can either put Ben Davies there, or move Van der Ven out there, Van der Ven starting and put Ben Davies in the middle. Or you can put Spence there and bring Porro on.
So I might prefer, to be honest, I think I might prefer Gray at left back and put Spencer right back. I think that's probably a better solution.
What about Van der Ven? What about Van der Ven at left back? That's a good idea. Van der Ven at left back with Dragoshin and Romero at centre backs and Gray at right back.
Yeah.
Or Porro at right back.
Bad idea.
Spencer right back.
Or Spence, yeah.
So...
I think that would be really, and Van der Ven will combat Savinho really well, in my opinion.
There you go. Look, the three of us. Look at us together. Let's go through the combined 11 again, and let's rearrange it. But yeah, no, I just want to see. I don't know why Spurs do this, where we've got players that play in set positions. We're like, yeah, well, we haven't got anyone there. You just play there. You play there.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Brian, like Archie Gray played the majority of last season at right back for Leeds. He only played a handful of games in the middle of the park.
I bet I'm with you on that. But when we signed him, and Spurs came out and said he's going to be a midfielder.
Yeah,
long term.
Long term, exactly. So when we have the opportunity, let's give him the minutes to see what he can do there. We don't play him there.
Wait, Brian, you're saying how important this game is, and you're saying you're desperate to get through, and you only care about the cups. And now you're saying let's see how an 18-year-old kid does in midfield. Let's just chuck him in there to see how.
Yeah, because he's going to be playing against two kids. If he's playing against Rodri and others, and De Bruyne, I'd be like, or Gundogan, I'd be like, oh, wait a minute.
Gundogan will probably play.
Oh, shut up, Ben, with your logic. Okay. Right. Let's revert back. Let's go back to Spencer right back is all I want. That's all I want. And I wouldn't mind. Do you know what was your front line?
It was Johnson on the right, Timo on the left, and Solanke up top.
I would swap Timo for Richie.
Richie on the left. The thing is, Richie hasn't looked at it so far. I think he's still recovering.
I still think do you know what? And I will give him his credit. When Werner came on at Palace, he put in a couple of great crosses in. Mm-hmm. Didn't do much else, but he did put a couple of good crosses in.
Which is more than most other players, to be fair.
No, seriously, you're right. But this is the thing. I think he comes on now in those kind of time frames with tired defences and stretches them and tries to get a couple of those crosses in. He made that good cross against AZ Alkmaar for Mikey Moore.
Yeah.
Didn't do much else. Came on against Palace, put in a couple of good crosses. I think he's now more of an impact, and I just want to see the shithousery of Richarlison and Solanke playing together. We've tried so many things, and I think Richie can go on the left. And one thing Richie will do, if Solanke is dropping deep to get the ball, he might instinctively go central. And then at least there is a finisher in the box. So I would rather have Richie on the left.
I just don't think Richie gives us on the left what Ange wants from a winger. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
Do you think Werner does?
More than Richie, yeah.
This is what we've come to. And I woke up to see the news that Odegaard has been back, played 2 minutes, and got a serious injury again.
Yeah, and Son is a doubt for the game as well. Son will probably play Villa game.
What goes on at that training ground?
I don't know, man. But we've got our new Eric Lamela and Darren Anderton on the wing.
It's looking that way, but like I said, getting back to it, this is a huge opportunity. And let's just hope we can go through to the next round, because our manager's always, like he said he wins things in the second season. Let's face it, this is probably the easiest one to win out of all the other cups we've got. This is like the one where it's not as many rounds. Teams are rotating a lot. So let's hope we can just take this opportunity. And tomorrow, when you're at the game and people are watching it wherever they are in the world, and people doing fan shows and everything after can come on and be happy that we're through to the next round and knocked out a huge fish, and hope we get a nice easy tie in the next round and march to Wembley.
If we do go
on the other hand, it could be,
go on,
could be bad.
Go on. Yeah,
I was about to say something.
I was going to say, if we do go out tomorrow, Brian, if the worst does happen and we City knock us out, what does that mean for Ange, for you, in terms of question marks around him or anything like that? Is that another question mark against Ange if we go out tomorrow?
I think listen, you can't get away from, if we go out of the cup, it's another question mark. It's a question mark. I still back Ange. I still want Ange to succeed. I still want Ange to give him time. But as we all know, this is a result-based performance, result-based business. And the manager is kept in a job based on results. And if we go out of a cup, when I know there's a majority, but a lot of the people I know and speak to want a cup more than anything else to end this jinx, hoodoo, whatever you want to call it, drought, famine. I think more petrol gets put on the fire. I was speaking to someone yesterday. Put it this way: the way I'm looking at it right now, and I'm fully in the. I can't believe I'm saying this. The Anjin camp. I can't believe we're having an Anjin, Anj out, whatever. But I'm fully on the Anjin. But I was looking at it, and the way I've looked at it right now is if we were going to court, as in that Ange keeps his job, and we were going to court, and you got the defence and the prosecution. If you're looking at if you're the lawyer for the Ange out, these stats that are coming out, these facts that are coming out, these results are heavily stacking on that favour, isn't it? If you're going to be the solicitor of one of them to represent Ange staying or Ange going. There's more stuff right now piling recently because of the performances to say, right, I think the manager should be out because of this, this, and this. I just hope tomorrow more petrol isn't put in that fire and another cup we're out of and Ange succeeds, because I want the man to do well. I want the man to have the time on his contract.
Brian, you know how I like my hypotheticals.
Oh, here we go.
If I gave you 2 buttons, no joke. Would you, if we?
1 second, Brian. There's something wrong with your audio.
Oh, is there?
Oh no, it's better now.
Right,
it's better now.
Obviously, in our next 3 league games, sorry, in them we have Villa at home and Man City away in our next 3 league games. So if I offered you losing tomorrow but winning those 2 games, or winning tomorrow and losing, or winning tomorrow and losing those 2 games, what are you choosing?
Don't even need to think, mate. Win tomorrow, lose 2 league games.
So you lose to Villa at home and City away, and win tomorrow. But we could be winning at the Etihad and beating Villa if we lose tomorrow.
No, I listen. Like I've said, I came on at the start of this show, and I've been saying all season. League finish means nothing to me this season. I don't think we get top 4, so there's no point pushing for it. I just don't think there is any chance, especially with the start we've got. So the easiest road to get Champions League is to win the Europa League, which I think we have more of a chance of winning the Europa League than finishing top 4. I want the FA Cup more than anything. For the rest of my life, that cup will mean more to me than anything. That cup is very, very special to me. And the League Cup we have going. So if you said to me, we win tomorrow and lose to Man City and Villa in the Premier League, I will take winning tomorrow every single time.
You say, Brian, that the league position doesn't matter to you, and I've heard a few people say that it's all about cups this year. League position doesn't matter, but I can't think that we finished 10th or 11th or 12th or whatever it may be that. Even if we win a Carabao Cup, you'd be particularly happy.
I would be. I want to win a cup. Listen, Tottenham without making us sound like the great football club and the massive, huge club that we are, where we are right now as a club, Tottenham Hotspur should never finish 12th in the Premier League. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Correct.
We should have the quality in the players to always make sure that happens, and the manager. And I firmly believe that. But if you gave me 12th in the Carabao Cup right now, I'll bite your hand off. 12th in the FA Cup, bite your hand off. 12th in the Europa League, bite your hand off. It's one season.
How low do you go until you turn it into a disgrace? Like, do you go 13th?
Yep.
14th?
Yep.
15th?
Put it this way, as long as we're not in the relegation 3.
So 17th in the Carabao Cup you're taking?
Yep.
So would you take Eric Ten Hag at Spurs then?
Hell goddamn no.
Why? Well, it's exactly what he did. He finished 8th and won an FA Cup.
I will tell you now that if we got rid, and this is, I really don't want to be having this discussion because I don't want him gone. The one manager that played the kind of football that I really did want, as in outside of the Premier League, is about to go to Manchester United. The other one would have been Alonso, but we're never ever going to get near him. But if I had to take someone from the Premier League, it would have been the man I wanted before Ange Postecoglou, and it's Thomas Frank.
But according to your criteria, Ten Hag would have done the job you wanted at Spurs.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You can't guarantee it, can you? Can't guarantee he comes to Tottenham and then wins cups.
But if I offered you, he would do the job at Tottenham, then he did Man United, then you'd want him, wouldn't you?
What if he won an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup back to back, finished in the top half of the table in both seasons? Yeah, I would.
Well, he actually finished
Yeah,
third. He finished third in his first season, didn't he?
There you go.
Third in a
Yeah,
Carabao.
winning two. I think let's be sure. Even if you asked everyone in your chat right now, and I don't know how
But
many
why?
people
But
are,
why do you think Man United fans are not happy with him? Why do you think they want him gone if he's losing cups?
you got well, Sim, that's an easy one. Manchester United. Let's not kid ourselves. Manchester United, for a majority of my lifetime, and I'm 45 now, have been winning leagues, challenging for leagues, winning Champions Leagues, winning FA Cups. They have had a dynasty of success. Sim, I can remember we've won 6 trophies in my life. Okay, 3 of them I can clearly remember: 91, 08, and 91, 99, 08. Manchester United have won that in one season.
It's true.
What I've seen, Manchester. I was too young for. I was 81. I was 2 years old. 82, obviously 3 years old, and 84, 5 years old. The other 3 trophies came, like I said. Manchester United have won that 6 that I've had in my lifetime in about 3 years.
Yeah, you can't compare. You can't compare Man
Exactly.
United and Tottenham.
Exactly. So if someone, and if Ange could give me right now the 2 seasons or whatever, the 2 seasons that Eric Ten Hag had, I would be over the goddamn moon. I think Spurs fans would absolutely be over the moon with him as well, and think of him as a goddamn king for winning back-to-back trophies.
Yeah. Look, if Ange did the exact same job Eric Ten Hag has done at Man
We'd be
United,
delighted.
Ange will go down as probably our best manager in the Premier League era.
He would be. He would be.
And he's going down as one of Man United's worst managers of the Premier League era.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And back to the court theories, the defence rests. Because there's no doubt. But I don't really want to talk about Ange out stuff because I could not be further from Ange out if you tried. I am fully on board the Ange charge, and let's just hope he's given the time to do so.
Score prediction, Brian?
Well, I was going to go 2-1, and Simeon said it. Then I said, you know what, I'll go up one, I'll say 3-2, and then you said it. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go 1-1, and we win on penalties.
Win on penalties. Come on.
Go for the drama.
Love that. Brian, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, guys.
And
have a great day.
have a good rest of your day, mate.
I will do. And you guys and everyone in the chat. Speak to you later. Ta-da.
Big up. If it's a good point. Like if Ange did do that, win an FA Cup, finish 3rd, and then finish 8th and win a Carabao Cup the next season and get sacked the season after for a really poor start. I mean, that would go down as probably our best manager in Premier League history.
Well, it was Carabao in 3rd and FA Cup in 8th. But if he got 3rd in a Carabao, that would be our best season in Premier League. I mean, statistically, that's reality.
How if he did do that, how would you stack him up against like the peak Pochettino era?
Obviously he'd won more trophies. I would say obviously Pochettino got his team. We got finished 2nd.
But Pochettino was statistically the best team in the Premier League over a 2-year period.
He finished 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, then got a 4th and a Champions League final.
Yeah.
So is Ange's team better? Is a team that win more trophies better? Just because they win more trophies? Not necessarily.
They're not necessarily better because I think you're ultimately judged on, league form and everything like that. But Spurs historically have been a cup team pretty much since the 60s, haven't we?
Not for a while.
Not for a while, but I mean, from the 60s all the way till 91, we were very much considered as a cup team, and no one ever talks about where we finished in the league, and everyone talks about how glorious it was to win those cups. Pochettino never got over the line, never won anything. So surely if Postecoglou can, let's say he does.
Is Ramos better than Pochettino?
No, but at least he got over the line.
I know, but would you rather that tenure than Poch?
No. But 2 cups is a bit different though. 2 cups
Two
back to
cups
back.
is different.
Yeah, back to
But
back
one
2
cup.
cups.
A cup's a cup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a cup, but also FA Cup is a lot more prestigious than a Carabao Cup.
So 2 cups back to back, but then he'll be gone. I mean, I guess Poch went as well, but Ten Hag went because Poch didn't go. Obviously, we were bad in that last few months, but probably was a mistake to let him go when we did because things didn't improve. But Ten Hag, I don't know. Since they won the Carabao Cup, they've just been pretty poor. They've been on a massive downward spiral for a long time. Like, would you really want to watch that week to week just for a cup? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you would, but football's like, I want to enjoy watching my team. I don't think Man United can say they have done that, even though they won the cups.
Yeah, but you were very willing to take a Mourinho and a Conte because you thought it was guaranteed success and you thought it was a guaranteed trophy.
Yeah, because we had 5 years of process. But I thought as well, as much as Mourinho's teams, when it works, it could be quite good, quite exciting. When you're counter-attacking and playing
Yeah,
good
but
football.
you knew full well you're going into it with the eyes open. What kind of football was going to be week in, week out?
The difference between something that's structured, yes, not the most exciting, but it's working, and Ten Hag's football where it's something that just doesn't work and it's boring and it's bad. And it turned out to be that way anyway with Mourinho. But and obviously it wasn't good. That's why we got rid of him. But I want to see my team build something, or like I want to see enjoy watching week on week. And yes, I would enjoy the day out at Carabao Cup, but that doesn't get you anywhere. It just, yes, you get a great day out, and we all want that and we all miss that, and it's been so long. But I also don't want to just stop enjoying watching Spurs, and that might happen.
Yeah, but I mean, you're never gonna not enjoy watching Spurs because this is Ange Postecoglou and we know the way he plays his football. So it is going to be Ange. I'm just talking about results.
So what's the question?
So the same, 3rd Carabao Cup, FA Cup 8th, and he gets sacked the next year for a poor start to the season, or Pochettino's reign.
Or Pochettino's reign.
And this is under Ange, so we'll be playing the football that Ange plays.
Oh, then yeah, I'll take under Ange.
All right, there we have it. But yeah, I think that is it from us today. Obviously, back tomorrow live watch along, starting off at 8 o'clock with Barnaby and Amir, the pre-match pump up with the perfect match coming up beforehand, and getting to have your say on the post-match fan show after the game tomorrow. Me and Sim going to be there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, hopefully coming back with no voices and cheering Spurs into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. But thank you everyone for joining me today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.